Seems like yesterday was a mistake. I found out there's no one standing at my gate. Would it be the thoughts that I made, or the way that I had taken every single way to be? Now I find there's only me, and I flutter around all that could have been. Is it discouraged to lean to the other side, when there's only worship and praise given? I find out there's nothing within, until I mistakenly place him forward of me. I thank all that came to say, yeah, we're still with you, 'cause Jesus made me see there's only one way to take when I place he before. Even me waits at the other side of the departure gate, but I think it's not for mine. I think it's not for me to make, but still there's no way later than this to take. 'Cause I call up and they just say, boy, you're gonna bounce in. But I think about what it is and I can never share it, 'cause it's just the way that I proceed. But even though I'm not there to be, I still say thanks to he. And I look at everything the same, even when there's not just the weather that can change. I challenge my name to be worshipped. I challenge the place that I bent down. I show that all things might remain somehow. But until I left him aside, I only found out somehow that when I mistakenly placed him before me, I changed all that would remain if I hadn't bent down to the curb. Because I found out now only means that somehow I'll watch him take all of mine, till the day I can learn that only am I first, till I make out there's no way to allure a certain shape, unless my mate had to change. Now I think about all of this. What am I to do if I can't just make up this? 'Cause I think about it, but still I'm nowhere near what God could say. Yes, you're still my dear. 'Cause I found out there's only one thing in my rear. Yeah, it's not gonna be steered. 'Cause yeah, I found out I'm still one past the checking. And I think about what would I change if my name wasn't theirs. I guess I'd allure many in to see that when they take me first, they'll find out what they'll beat away from the curb, till they think about what they couldn't do with the will of I, the Spirit of the Lord, the one true God. 'Cause hey, I've said it all, and I'm red bloody hot, and I'd think for myself before I could say g'day. But it's not always the same way that you take, that one could say you haven't made. For I think not today is the day that I am. And I think not that yesterday is the day that I could change, but only that tomorrow is the place I haven't said what I am going to do before I can't make a change, before I can't set free the place that I am to be. So if I look at tomorrow and say someone has already walked there, and here where I am at today, I am not going to be late in saying that he before me is the place that I reserve my way or my right to be there, where he today has already been, and here where I am today, he has already seen all of my actions that will take place ahead of me. He's there in the way to show that it's not just given up to and out from me. It's where he's been. Before all that happens, he's already seen. So when I rest upon his seat, I know he'll be there before me. Ahead of tomorrow, he'll show me the way to clear out all such things that happen to me in a day. And I think about what it means to say yes, I am still he. But then I challenge what it means for me to be about the breeze. But I look up to the duck, the one that never sat, the one that never paddled around and got into the dink. I think about the challenges that no one's ever made. I think about the faces that only one can say. Till I show myself, hey, ain't I just the same? Till I show myself, hey, ain't I just that mate who's on the way? Now I think about it, what would I do if I challenged everything left to be assumed? Then what would I say if I can only make it clear upon this seat that which is where I lay? Then what would I think? What would I think? What would I make if I couldn't think? If I had to dunk? I think about it now, I think about it well. I think about it just because maybe I'm allowed. But what would I show if I'm not proud? What would I show if I've been down and out? What would I think if I couldn't make it up? What would I do if I had to strip down and drink? Now I think about it, now I think about it. What would I do if there's only the left to assume? Now I make about it, now I make about it. I think I just might be powdered, but sometimes it comes to me. But I think I'm not there to see, I'm not there to drink, I'm not even there to take, but where do I see it? If I think about it, if I think about it, what would my day be if I was just one clear of the gate? Now I think about it, now I think about it. If it wasn't just me, then who would say, yeah, I'm still there today because he's all of our mates. You know he's the Lord and he's the one that's insane. When he says that he has seen, when he shows that he has been. What does he make before the day? What does he make before the hour? If he shows it, if he sees it, if he tells it, if he bees it, if he makes it till this day, then what will he say? I can't just take it, I can't just think it, I can't just think it, I can't just take it, till the day that I have made myself believe. Then what would I see if I couldn't show you the same? So maybe I'm there to take, maybe I'm there to make, maybe I'm there to be your mate, but still sometimes I'm late. So I couldn't say it, I couldn't say it, unless I was still chosen to be ahead of the race. And what would I see, what would I be, if I was just there to steer you all the way to the gate? Upon departure you'll land somewhere foreign. You'll think about all that you've witnessed while you're up there in the air. The cities below us, the amounts behind us, the common tears that no one could take till the day that we make. So I think about it, so I think about it. What would I sit with if I couldn't make it to the day? What would I sit with if I couldn't make it through the flame? Now I think about it, now I think about it. And on these days you'll say, hey mate, ain't it just the same wave? Till I look upon it, till I look upon it. Then what would I think that I haven't made if I still challenge it in debate? Now I think about it, now I think about it. And all that seems to remain is one face that no one could make. 'Cause I'm not there to say it, 'cause I'm not there to say it. Doesn't mean I can change it because it rests with me. So when you're behind, you're driving upside, you're going over the curb to get in front. If you place the car ahead of you to be in the lead, and you just sat where you were, then when you went around and hit the curb, nailed 2 buckets, which flicked out, and inside there was acid. See it all on the movies, Daredevil's a great one. He gets the acid in his eyes and becomes blind, but gets superpowers. Because his beliefs have changed. Maybe so, my friend. But remember, you can keep that to yourself in the audience. All right, son. And I think about it. If Jesus Christ is the bloke ahead of us driving, and we just sit behind him, then what do? We save fuel. That's right. And who swerves first? He does. Or does he just hit what's in the way so we can keep going straight? Because there's no bumps out of his car when everyone in their cars has the praise and worship songs on. He is the way maker. Yes. So his car gets repaired straight away. Yeah. The traffic lights turn green. And we go, thank God for that. I don't need to stop. But do we look at the ones who have to stop on the right? Stop at the left. Or stop on the left, who have got the red? Have they gone, thank God for putting me in place where I am sat today? For maybe I was not meant to go right now. For I need to go at the time that he wants me to go, not before that hour. So when you have to pull aside, ambulances are coming around you. Yeah. Who's already on the scene where the ambulances arrive? If one car's got their music playing right up and doesn't hit an ambulance behind them, Jesus Christ is already there. Yeah. And what do you get if you don't move for the ambulance? A fine. That's right. Now who placed that fine there? The ambulance driver who thinks he didn't get there on time. That's right, but does that fine make it work? For the ambulance driver. That's right. So if the ambulance driver is late to the scene, because he can't get around somewhere, then another bloke gets the fine. But really, Jesus Christ is already on the scene. And if that ambulance driver is with Jesus Christ, and if those other drivers are with Jesus Christ, then at that time he'd have his radio turned down, the ambulance driver would get there on time, and Jesus Christ would be with the person who's dying on time. And there'd be no loss. So if the world was led by the same God, then what would we make out to ourselves? We wouldn't be at fault for anything that happened to ourselves or anyone else. That's incorrect. As we can assume ourselves to be inaccurate when we take on the blossoming seedings of all that is worshipped and praised by one revealing. And when we put one Lord ahead of us all and put one beaten sorted, mate. We all believe in the one Lord. Where's that Lord sit? At his own gospel. And is that the name that you take? Or did he lead you to say that? He led me to thank you for that. Without myself not being, then what can I be? And if I haven't been, then what can I say I've seen? If I sow my own harvest, then what do I return to the neighbour? Whereas if my harvest is reaped, and I sow it not for me, or sow it not even for he, but sow it for the rejoicing of the favour, that I can seed once again, the same reaping or the same rejoicing of what the seed will become, then each year as I gross my return, I'm only expected to do the same, seed this yield and yield this seed, until the day I can spread what is made by me in the workings of the Lord, to accompany on he the feat that is made before me, to only find within me the same feed that I am allowed, to the same feed that one could expect within the crowd of where I can sit. Now if I rejoice in this year's yield, and next year's yield is not the same, then what can the neighbour find but me behind? And if I'm at fault for what is not revealed within me, then what does the neighbour sit with if revealed in him is greed? And as I find for myself that this year's yield is not my blame or not my blind or not my mistake, then last year's yield, which was the one that I was ahead of this year's, was only there because the season had rejoiced in me when I had favoured the neighbour to seat before I at the same table where we were fed. Now if I fed at the same time as the neighbour, then this year's yield would be at the same cost that I had made the last year's, and I'd appeal to the same rejoicing as in each yield of each year's nature within each yield of each year's natures, within each yield of each year, I would come to the same seasoning of what one field could, of what one field's crop could sow, before the years ahead of me could be known. Now if I sat at that table with the neighbour last year and fed at the same, then this year I'd return the same, for the season would not allow me to be under. But because I put the season before me, and allowed he to feed before I, even though I had cropped the yield and seasoned the favour, then at that time the yield itself would be behind. For I'd only find within me that one ahead of I had shown me that I'd been blind. Now when I seasoned at the same time as everyone else that year, but only because of last year, where I sat behind at the table, did I get less of a crop. Then as it came to me, that one must be shown to I before I can be shown to he. So when I sit at the same lane and at the same table as all that my neighbours do, then I can find within me, if my crop is out, it's something not that I have faulted with, or not something the neighbour has faulted with, but I not allowing me to feed at the same time as the neighbour, which is at the time that the neighbour should be feeding, which is when I should be feeding, because we're all feeding at the same time, because one is there to be fed. And that says within us, if I put my neighbour ahead of me, then what am I allowing my neighbour to be seasoned within I, when next year's crop is out, and that neighbour now is seasoned to be taking not the same, because I have given him the chance to rejoice in not my favour of where I've seasoned under late for the crop that has been sowed. If I thought about this, or if I took this as a challenge, then I'd see that when I didn't eat at the same time, I placed my neighbour ahead of me instead of putting the Lord at the same. So if I sat down at the same and said, yes, I should sit with he and eat at the same time as my neighbour, because the Lord that's in he and the Lord that's in me is rejoicing at the same favour, in the same mind, in the same season, in the same time. Whereas if I put my neighbour ahead of the Lord, which is by sitting behind my neighbour and eating after he, then I'm putting the neighbour ahead of the Lord, which is in I and which is in he, to show that within me I've challenged the Lord. Whereas if I sat at the same time and showed the Lord his favour, which is allowing me to have a decent crop and allowing me to feed within the circle of the crop that remains, then I can make out of myself the same blame in my anointing when that season I placed a neighbour ahead of me. So the year after, the Lord showed me less of a crop, because I placed the neighbour before he. Within this name I can rejoice in the same, by the same favour that I can yield, if I take the choice of what is mine. If I make out of me the same, then what do I show for last year? If last year I've only rejoiced in the season, because that season gave me plenty. Now this year I do not have as much, because without that sowing of what I did, there'll be no name for me to favour. But if I took myself first before anyone else, then will the Lord season me under, or the Lord engage with me to yield with me, the same as he could favour for everyone else. If at only one time I could cost myself a seat, without the season being yield. So as I find for myself there's no such yield, then I can only make for myself what it is that I am to make, without myself naming the favourism of the Son before myself. So as for this year I've made myself. Before that year I hadn't made anything. What did I change this year that named me to make myself? And for last year when I hadn't made anything, then what hadn't I favoured for me to be here? Without this year being spent before I was here, then what did I make for myself to be? Without that place that I have seasoned, there's no way that I could take. Without this year being the place, and also the name that I had made. Now as I fought for this way, I could assume that last year's way wasn't the way that I was. It was only the way that I hadn't been accompanied by all those who see me as lesser design or as a lesser person within the crime. As for I in season, once one yield for me the same as thee, then my boost had lifted to a touch better than it had been. But before that day I couldn't season with what I'd seeded with, for I had not taken place within me, to assume that all else can't govern the same, until I had made for myself the same openness of the same governance that I could calculate to be spread. Now look at this year where I am today, compared to last year where I wasn't. Last year I was homeless and living in my car. The year before I was homeless and living in a tent or in my swag on the street. Then I praised and prayed and made up a story that I need a better place. I then christened the prayer and also the worshipping of my own design. I prayed to the place that I am not, the place that I have not seen, the place that I am not and the place that I do not know, the place I am not knowing of and the place I haven't been. I pray to be there where I am not knowing of that such thing, and where I have not been is where I am not, and where I will not be is where I am, and where I have not been is not where I will be. It's only the place that I cannot see that I challenge myself to feed. And then all of a sudden I got welcomed in to a block that a mate lived at. Then it led me to being in this house, and along the way I took on the name of Jesus Christ, not realising that it's really my name. And before that I'd been stricken by a lot of things, until the day I could challenge many things. And before that day or before that hour, I'd only been out of a season, because I couldn't accompany he to where I had been. For I felt like I had sinned, and I was unclean of him. But really before that day, what was I? But not being led to where he could be found. Because when you do not sin, then what would you take of him? But only lead you along the way to always the win, always the comfort of where you can be without sin. So many say that they have taken Jesus as theirs since the day they were living, and they might be guided by him always, and they might be better seated than where I am seated today. But because I didn't take him at first when I was a young child, even though I was raised Catholic and raised into religion, I just lived my own life and challenged pretty much everything that I was taught or favoured with, till the day that I was down and out, living homeless, and all such things were upon me. I'd already sinned and stolen and done many crimes within my own family, my own religion. But then I seen if I pray to him and take on his name, that maybe he'll come and work with me. And it's led me this way to where I now sit. And yes, I'm not in the best position and will never be in the best position, but he will still find a happy life for me, or at least a happy medium, where I can walk back into an unsinful life and gain more clarity and wish to be in a better place, which he's already found me to be in. But now he wishes for me to go down a path that I don't want to go down, that made me sin in the first place. But was it that place that I was in made me sin? Or was it that I hadn't had he with me? And as I look at this, there's no way to understand what it is, because I don't look at what it means. As in, I once took drugs, and I ended up dealing drugs, and I ended up selling drugs, and I ended up stopped selling drugs because I didn't think it was good for everyone around me. I ended up becoming a drug addict and stole from my parents, stole from the shopping centres and all such things to survive. Now, I never had Jesus Christ with me. I never took his name at young age or as a young child. But if I did, then would he led me to sell the drugs? And would it have led me into sin? I believe it would not have. So I think about what it actually is that I'm saying. When you put someone ahead of you yourself, not that you're putting them first, it's that you're not putting the same God that's within you ahead of their personal feeding, so that same God is there together with them. When you come together, then what's in you that's in them as well, or that's also in them, is that once upon ourselves to be seated. So when I choose to put my neighbour first, the Lord that's in me is saying, well, why aren't I eating? And the one in the neighbour, which is the same Lord, is going, well, why is he eating? So really, when you put the neighbour ahead of you, that neighbour should be doing the same thing and sitting down and not eating till you're at the table, to put the same Lord at the same place that one should always be. Before he is me, and no one between. For if I am out from this, then it's not me that weighs. It's that the neighbour next year also has less to feed, because both of us are out of deed, when one places themselves before the other, and one is seasoned to see themselves under the other, unless both of us take the time to manage the same heir, or to make up the same deed. Therefore at this yield, for this year's cost, I am underpraised. The neighbour can't feed the same, and he sees it on my weight. Unless he sees for in me, why is the crop it different? And only is that crop different because the Lord didn't yield me the same as what became last year. Therefore we can clearly see the signs of what we all show if we speculate upon the distance. Now the distance between both yields is the annual gross. The annual gross that becomes of one is the same season's yield as another can be, or as another can believe. But before I can't believe, I can only sow what is my yield. My yield is my return of the same harvest that all make. And when I don't make the same harvest, I yield not the same. But each crop in each field is always the same as the last year's crop. So why are some years' crops under? If each yield is the exact same, then it should show us all that we're in the same season. But some seasons we get less than other seasons. Some seasons we receive more than other seasons. What does this highlight to us all if we can't believe in such a thing as the very sin that one can take before another is made to believe that they can take the same? If only that we can weigh ourselves to be the one that is made to believe, then we can't just believe in what we sow or what we even come to say, but only that we rejoice in the same favour that one neighbourhood can accomplish us all to believe. If we do not take what ourselves is receiving, then what do we take for ourselves if no one can believe? If we're not there to season for ourselves, then what can't we seed if ourselves can't be seasoned? If we only favour ourselves to see, then what do we make out from ourselves to believe? And if we accomplish ourselves to not see what it is, then what would we debate if we can't believe in such a thing as sins? If we believe in sins, then what do we show ourselves to believe, and where do we hold ourselves in faith? If we worship the adultery, if we worship the sin, and also worship the gross that one should receive because of what their yield should be, then we remain in a challenge of what we actually make. If one says, I should not sin this year, because last year I sinned, and it showed me no favour, then when I rejoice in the name and I season in my favour, that I show that in my name I have not sinned, then what would I show without me, if I could not believe in such a thing as he? Now when he is there before and I place him ahead of me, then would it be that I can't believe in myself, or that only I can believe in myself, if I have not seasoned the same? Now I take back the look that I can make before I've challenged myself to be seen. And on that day I can't just be seen without myself being seen. I can only show within myself that I haven't been seen, till the day that I can be believed. Now I know that myself can't see, and when I can't see, I'm not seeing what I have shown myself to see, but only that I haven't believed in my name to see. And as I know of this that I haven't seen, then I can only show myself I have seen, before the name that I can't believe. And without that name that I can't believe, then what name would it show me that I can't see? if I cannot believe in myself to see? And without myself not seeing, then what could I show myself to see? And without that sight, then what would I name myself to believe, if I can't just believe in such a thing as me? Now, believing in me, I would become a sinner. By believing where he is, and freed from all that I am, I could believe in his way, to show within me that I have been named. And when I have been named, then what does it show me to believe? If I have only been given the name, of why my name has to be shown. Now, in this country and in this governance, in this continental shore, and in this world and in this planet, we all have a given surname to account to history, the dated date and place that we were made, and the dated date and place that we will be made. As for the names that no one has ever taken, the names that are challenged by us all to believe in, some people change their names. When you get married, a female has to change her name to the husband's name, but doesn't always take their name. So I challenge all these things to show in me what it was before anyone had a name. And what would we all be if not the same? We'd all be, hey, who are yours? They are the Lord's. And we'd all be the same as rejoiced in the same. And when we came together, we'd all be the same. Who yielded this crop? We did. No, the Lord yielded the crop. As for the season that no one can doubt, there's still the favour of yourself to believe. But before you can't hold faith, then what do you take if there's no way to make? As for the day that I have believed myself, then what could a farmer say if he's underseasoned for his circle of crops? If one farmer yields the same in his field as another farmer yields in his field, then what have they both seasoned in? The same site or the same nectarines. The same rejoicing of what they provide to the circle or community or to their neighbourhood's tribe. So when that farmer or when those two farmers go down the market still and buy the fruit that they sell, they don't keep any for themselves, then they'll get a better yield next year because they're exact same as the neighbour. So when a king is ambiguous for himself to be seasoned, within the favourites and relations that he makes for himself to be seated, then a farmer can seed for himself the same name that he can take, that a neighbour can take away if he hasn't made it for himself. The farmer names himself to be privileged, for he feeds on his fruit before it's even down the warehouse or even down the shop or even down the market front. But then the neighbour comes to the market and says, has the farmer chosen this fruit for me? Or has the farmer even eaten some of this fruit? And if the farmer has eaten some of this fruit, is it the same pieces that I'm allowed to take? Or is he seasoned on a different favour than what I'm seasoned to favour with? Now, as a result, the farmer had fed on some of the fruit. And by choice, he had fed on the little bits, not the big ones that he sold down the shop. So in the end, the farmer had put the neighbour ahead of him, for he left the big ones down the shop front and thought they might want the big ones. But in return of saying this, for the big ones they sold for more than the little ones. So the neighbour had really been seasoned under. Whereas if the farmer sent all to the market, then all would be on price there. And at what time you got down there would depend on what you could buy and also what income you had made to determine what you could buy. But everyone would have the same favour and the same choices revealed, as the Lord would say to the farmer, just because it's your yield doesn't mean it's not for you to take. But the neighbour would say, hey, just because it's not my yield, it's not for me to take. So therefore the Lord could sign to both of them that it's crime for the neighbour to take one without the farmer taking one, without the Lord taking one. As for the farmer, it's underprivileged for him to not take one, unless the Lord has neighboured for he to take one. As for the neighbour that doesn't take one, and as for the farmer that shouldn't take one, then what favoured the farmer to get to yield, if he's only seasoned to be before? And if the neighbour isn't at the same time as the Lord, if the neighbour isn't at the same time as the farmer, then what brings them together without themselves being? But the Lord himself. But the Lord himself to say in gesture, that without himself not being, there'd be no way to take. Just like those testers you have these days, to test the products before they go to the market. Where's the Lord get tested? Well, it's like that. Should the Lord be made to be seen? Or should the Lord not be taken away from himself? For only one could see for themselves that they have not been, where any place could be made for them to be received. Now the farmer, down the market, says to that neighbour, yes, I have seasoned these fruit. Yes, I have tried a few of the fruit. As for all fruit that come through my crop, I try a few. The neighbour responds, are these the ones you tried? Or are these the ones you favoured for I? The neighbour says, I did not favour any fruit for you. I tried some of the big ones and some of the little ones, and I picked them all at the same time, and brought them all down to the shop here, for you to choose which ones you like. As for you and as for I offer the servants of why you can choose to taste any one of them before you buy it. Then the neighbour chooses. As for the farmer, he tried everyone before he bought them. Well, if the farmer tasted them all and said, no, only the little ones are good, then he'd only bring the little ones down to the store and he'd keep the rest at home. Yep. And as for anything that goes, is it not the same way? If we don't believe in such a thing, then what do we show for ourselves? And if we don't weigh anything the same, then what do we make by faith? And if we believe ourselves to be stationed, then what do we worship as insane? If no such thing can be made by the certain name that we take. As for the neighbour that finds within himself, that season is no good to me. Last year you provided 20 cows. This season you got 2 there for me. Then that makes for the neighbour a challenge within his circle and within his providence of what he must provide. Meat for his community or milk for his tribe. And the farmer says, I apologise, it's not within me that I've dealt with this consequence. It's out of the seasons that were ahead of us that made this under my seeing, for I to only be able to provide 2 cows this season. Whereas last year I had the full 20, because the season was in front of I and ahead of both of us, we could rejoice in the same favour as what we promise ourselves to one day yield once again. Before we can go on and continue within our healthy relations, I must ask you, did you change anything from last year to this year, where I can only provide 2? And the neighbour looks within himself and says, last year when you brought the 20, I said to you, would you like to take some milk with you? And you asked me, no, that's fine. I'll get milk from next year's cattle as they're breeding. Oh, shit. I can already see what you're believing, mate. Ah, right. Right, so it's not the same thing if it's true. But because one circle sees it as a difference, it can't be believed in because of greed. So if I weigh up an apostrophe instead of using a question mark, now the neighbour says, what's that apostrophe got to do with this question? And I respond, mate, it's not just a question. It's like saying this is a remark that needs to be made, for I'm underweighting here, and you have not shown me the polite answer of what you can find within yourself that I've already revealed within me. And that's why I use the apostrophe. Now the neighbour responds, what do you mean you've already found the answer within you? Why'd you ask me the bloody question then? To see if you have found the same. Otherwise I need to weigh this up better, because that answer that I found within myself must not be right. And I must be under legal contract or legal abidance of demon nature or something like that to think that I found the answer without actually seeing your answer. Well, you should have used a question mark then, because now I'm rattled. That's because you must already have the answer within you. Ah, yes, okay. And that's maybe because the consequence that I made up about a farmer and a neighbour. And I'm not a farmer or a neighbour. So if I related to myself, it would have been better. No, I didn't relate to myself or not myself. I allowed that which was in front of me to lead me. And under leading me, he led me the wrong way. Because he had to be in front. Whereas if I challenge this, then I'd say it for the same thing. The neighbour's yield is now under-chilled. Because the response of the farmer couldn't be in delight. As the challenge that was made between ourselves is, why is there so many farmers that complain that there's not enough rain? Is it because the neighbours are feeding too much? Or the neighbours aren't feeding at the same time as the farmer? Now, if the farmer's getting free beef, and we're all paying top dollar for it, then that's why there's not much rain. In a community, the farmer is a farmer, and the farmer is still one that goes to the market. You know, you have your community responsibility, and then what you are as a naked citizen. And everyone has to go to the market, no matter who you are. Otherwise, we're not favouring the Lord to appear in the same court as where we should all be dressed. Well done, my kid. Well done, my kid. Well done, my kid. Well, that's just the way it seasons. Right. As for my nonno, he sold land that he used to have olive plants on and other plants on as well. Then with the deal that he made with them, he could still come back and pick the olives. But when he did, he gave them some of the olives, and they provided some of the crop that they had at their shop. But he'd always pay for it, even though it used to be his plants and he'd done the hard work on the land. He'd go see them and buy some of the veggies that he got going on those lands. Then he'd go back and pick the olives and give them some of the olives. As for me, personally, in my mistakes, I haven't lived enough of a lie. Lie, he says. Well, maybe I haven't. Sentencing. So imagine now for all the secrets out there that some people know. Well, the Lord is with them as well, because the Lord is with everyone, no matter who you think you might be. Within us all is the Lord, or within us all is the seed of the one true Lord and the one true God, that is able to prevent any such mysteries occurring, or any such accidents being. So now one side of the market isn't knowing to the secrets, but the other side knows the secrets, but they're not secrets to that side. Now the other side hears that there's many secrets around, and not all of us can find them. The other side goes, there's no such thing as a secret. We've all found them. Now, what are they both meeting with? Besides the departing of the one. So one leads themselves away from the Lord when they say there's no secrets out there, we've all found them. The other side goes, we've heard there's secrets and we can't find them. Now, where is the Lord between them? making problems for this side and making illnesses for this side. Corruption and money brokerings, world wars and favours between countries, backgammon secret tables and undermining every promise and every privilege, every forgotten season and every forgotten season, every place that can be made is the same thing before we've made ourselves to be seen. Now what do we make out from ourselves if no such thing is broken? For without myself being seen, then I couldn't season the same weather for our next season ahead of us all. So let's look at now. There's been many secrets on that side, and the other side's been underwelcome to take the same. This side here all just has windmills on their bloody house that work day and night. They just have magnets in them, power their full house, there's not even noise from them. Then we will have to pay for power on this side, and between ourselves becomes the uprooting reasons of why we're in this criminal activity of this world today. Some kings have maids and servants, like even Donald Trump probably has a maid or a butler. Then this side goes, I want my slaves, and tries to make just their mates their slaves, because they see this side as having slaves. Whereas if those sides had the Lord with them still, then the Lord would serve at the times that they are tired, at the times they are sick. As for this side, it would be the same. When they cannot be able, the Lord would do the job. When the Lord is there always to provide for us all, no matter who we might be, then some sides seeing themselves as equal to the other side, and the other side seeing themselves as fair fitted to be the other side. Because one side says this is the agenda, but the other side says we don't like that agenda. Then they both take on the same accompany of what one side makes. So this side, being the kings, has butlers and servants and makes the agenda. This side says we don't like that agenda, so they're doing the same role as what the king does, and then says we should be we're the same fair fit as the king, and we need our maids, our butlers, and our servants. Now, if we take out from this, we find out there's no real meaning, lest we place ourselves ahead of what we unfathom to receive. We look back in time and back in history and back to yesterday. We see no such crimes could have ever been real if no one had ever made themselves a bee. Now by bee I mean the simple seasoning of a word outside of itself being seen. And if no one had ever said to themselves, hey, I'm too extreme, I don't like A, so I'm going to make myself a bee, so I can be seen, I can be witnessed, and I can be heard. Because I don't like it. I'm the one doing this work, and I should get first pick. I'm the one in the tribe that picks the fruit, and I want to eat a bit of fruit straight away. I don't want to wait till it's all gathered there at the end of the day, where everyone seasons to the same. And it might be all a race into the pots of food, or the elderly might eat first, or the young might eat first, whatever we cultured around our tribes. But someone said, nah, we're the ones picking the fruit, let's eat it now. Then later that day, all the fruit was pretty much gone. And the elders went, what happened to all the fruit? They went, it's our fruit, we picked it. So they put themselves aside and became the bee, because they thought they'd heard the need. But other times they weren't there where they had been promised. Because that year, the next year, they got no rain. Then they were just as hungry as their people were on that day that there wasn't any fruit. And the whole culture went under. Now we're talking about yesterday. And by no example, I probably couldn't have mistaken myself to be placed without the knowing that I haven't been, where history can't cultivate to me what I haven't seen. So look at some cultures around the world. almost entirely turned out different from other cultures providing to themselves what had always been given by the Lord's providence. Some cultures having to make up the very culturing itself, farming industries and all such things, to provide for their seasons ahead of themselves. Restrictions on food allowances, wars that broke out, just because someone didn't receive what they should have received at the same cost or at the same time as the other one should have received. Right. Now it's a long day looking at the past. It's a long day looking at yesterday, especially its history to be an example. Right. But the Lord's keep is still with us today. Unless we show ourselves it's not the same. But without ourselves being, then what can we judge? If we haven't thought for ourselves that we're an example. For not making out ourselves means that we can't make. So if we show to ourselves that we haven't made, then what would we make? Need to influence culture and design something much more appealing to ourselves. And that's because we put who ahead? The neighbour. So now we're under and have to provide everything to the neighbour, because he said they could feed first. Whereas if we put ourselves at the same time, it's not yourself that you're placing ahead of them. It's that at the same time or at the same interval, there's one there to court you both. The Lord would be at his time, and everyone at the table would meet, and certainly praised would he be, to hold within his favour the next season's yield and the next season's crop shall be rejoiced in by all that can come this way. Now it's hard when you're out. It's hard when you're under. But to bring it back right, the Lord provides himself to us as a meal. And all that you have to worship and place as right is the true weight of what he makes. Till this day, there will be no mistake without his name not being here, without his name not appealing to us. But still we favour to ourselves in season, and we favour to ourselves in the name, that only one can worship and praise before they have believed in he. But without his name being, then what did we make? And with his name being, then what did we choose to take? And if we don't forsake in ourselves, then what do we make? If we haven't been before ourselves, then what do we adore? And if we haven't seen ourselves, then what do we yield? If only our season can be made, then what do we favour? If we don't just see for ourselves what it is, then what do we make out from? If only our name can't be taken, then what do we show ourselves to reveal? And if our name is to be took, then what is it that our name means? As for thy name, that is his name. What name would it not be? The Lord must suit you. Any name that you judge upon himself, it would not be. You judge upon yourself that his name can't be Jesus. Therefore, all those names that you make for he to be, he becomes a sinner and regrets for himself to be seen. He hides from the shadows and hides and lures everyone into those states. For all those ways that we haven't taken him correctly, he makes out of himself still the name that is his, to place within all those sinners the other ways that they should go, to lead them all astray. But when we've been that crucified and been that way out, then what would he make himself appear as, if not all that sins for him, if not all that is the sinning of all that is the sins, that makes out from himself what it means for him not to be seen? Then he reveals himself in this court and reveals himself in these natures, and shows to himself what it means for him to declare himself as sin-free. And if he is sin-free, then what providence does he provide? If it's not for the world to hide from themselves, when he reveals in him himself to be seen, then what does he show for himself to not be seen? If he can't reveal within he, then what will he show for me, if I can't be beside myself that I have not been? As for what I am today, and for what I have been today, then what can I reveal for myself, if only I can show he that I am not the same? For only one can show to themselves that I have not been, before the day that I can be. And if I don't believe in he, then what do I show for me? And if my name is not forsaken, then what do I take as mine, if there's no place for me to be seen? As for not this that I haven't been, then what do I weigh for myself to be believed? If only I am not believed as he, then what do I show for myself? And if I do not show for myself, then what do I take for me to be believed? I see the exact occurrence that you're speaking of. Otherwise, there's no future seasons. Huh? That wouldn't make them believe, would it? Wicked, isn't it? Still be here, Daddy. You know, just a part of me. I haven't seen it yet, but still, there's the summer showing me it's his, for the earth that you made, It's by no certain mistake that I wait till the day that you've made me a certain place where I can choose to remain because it's great. Now I think about this, I think about all that is his. I show you it this summer, I'll bring you some love that is tender. For when it's ripe and you say, won't you take me before the name? Then I'll say, won't you show me the gate? 'Cause I could place myself without you, I could show that I'm still you, but maybe I'm better off not revealing my love until it's yours. 'Cause I am still great, I am still the bait, and I'll show you all my word, I'll show you all my curve. And maybe it's me that says I can't be seen, but maybe I show you just as much as you make me see that I am still he. 'Cause before this day it wasn't mine to be late or made, but maybe now you can show me how you save. So would I be just there where you have made me a gate? And if it is seen, then what would I show if I'm just as bright as all halos? 'Cause I can't hang down, I can't work around, I can't even show that yes, it's you that I made to reveal in me where I am laid. So if I made the certain place that was only yours to one day save, then I'll show you it's still the truth that my name can't be yours unless you make me see that my name is still there to be taken. But for some reason you prevent me from living up to what it means. You only wish for I to circuit behind closed doors. And I will be born before your dawn, I will be born before your day, I will be born before your gate, I will be born before your name, I will be born before the last day. So make sure it's not your mistake, make sure it's not your change, and make sure it's not your name to take. Make sure you don't make Make sure you don't name. Make sure it's still his name. Make sure you don't walk away from me. Now today means the same as yesterday, unless today wasn't yours, because to them, they'd say, ain't that just all yesterday's mistakes? And they'd say, what's that mean for today? That I can change? Or that yesterday wasn't made for me to see? For if I can't believe yesterday, then where would I make myself be? And if yesterday wasn't the same, then what would today be? If yesterday couldn't be made? And if yesterday was only made, then what's that make for today? If but not the same. So yesterday can't change, so what's that favour for this season? If this season can't be named. For yesterday's season wasn't so great, when I had to see that it wasn't my name that anyone took. It was theirs that they perceived to be theirs, for they felt for themselves that they are he, but only one can say, yeah, ain't that me? And ain't I believed to be where he will be? For I've shown myself in this season I can be the lead. Bloody hell, that's great news, mate. That's great news, mate. It is, mate. It's great news, mate. Really? Really, Adrian? Yes, mate. Great news, mate. It is, mate. Trust me, mate. I can look about it in many ways, mate. Go on, Adrian, sing a song, mate. Yes, mate. I can look about it in any way. I can look about it in many ways, but still I choose not to take that name, because I know it's not my name. So what does this mean if I am late? What does this mean if I can make? What does it say that I have faith? If I don't make it certain, then where will I have faith? If I choose to separate myself from the Lord, if I choose to walk out that door, then what would the Lord sanction for me? If the Lord says it's not about you, it's about we. So Adrian, mate, you didn't use your voice. What was with that? Were you scared to be seen? Now this toy can't be kept, this toy can't be cleaned. Without the name that no one could take, then what would we perceive if it's just your mate? Now I think about all that I made, now I think about all that I make. Now I think about all that I bait, and I think about all that I choose to say. It might be my forsaken name, it might be my forsaken place. It might be me just first out there to sit down and say shut up at this place. But I still think about what it is that I have today. Without my name ever being chosen, without my name ever being spoiled, without my name ever being taken, without my name ever being chosen to be. I see not this that ain't me, because I'm still not there to be believed. But holding on to that, I choose to remain where I could see. But still I believe in one thing that's gathered up and around me. Till the day that I can't believe, then what would I choose to say? If my name can't just be yours to take, but all of us is to appreciate. Now I believe not this, cause I could say, it's not mine to say. Alright. It was right. It was true. Judge, in the end, drugs will be the end. Named and officially courted in the word of the Lord. You're all under promise of something being better. So forget about all of this. It's done in the name of drugs, and that'll be the end. What? As spoken by the Lord in the holy word of God. Judge in the end. Drugs in the end. Drugs is the end. Officially recorded and documented. And that's it for this favourable season. Till next time, we'll speak at that time. And for that year, we'll cost ourselves the same. For similar actions aren't just taken, and no names can ever be chosen. You make not the name that is yours to take. You worship not the place that is yours to be seasoned. And you don't worship the name of any sin. If this was the indigenous tribe's culture, they'd be cleaning up the rubbish that's all over the place every second of every second day. They wouldn't be just saying it's their place. They'd be fucking showing it. It's the same around the whole world. You know, Charlie does nothing to worship his place. This is meant to be Charlie's place these days, and he's got drugs issued around everywhere. Subliminal energy everywhere to target people to take drugs. And drugs are bloody illegal in his law. So no one even owns this place properly like anyone else should. You know, it's under-documented. Criminals have to pick up the rubbish just to get out of the bloody going to jail. Why should they be picking up the rubbish if it's not their place? Now, if it's no one's place to speak, no one's place to take, and no one's place to act, then why do I make out like it's all yours to fucking debate? And what's that mean if it's all yours to debate? Means that it's none of fucking yours. It's my house. That's why you're all special and spoiled and seasoned at the same cost. But before time has been, there's no way to seek what it means. For I can make out of many things what I don't believe, but I hold no faith for you to even season with me. For you look at not this that I haven't been, and you favour not this that you can't be. You look at yourselves to be named as that, and in all your seasons you've only showed me one favour. Not any favours that anyone can make, for you make your own will, and your deed and place to resign is the place that you have been named. That means by the season that I have been, in the name that I am being, then only I can show my name to be believed. Until the day you can't see yourselves to show yourselves the same, then what would you take from me? If my will is much indeed stronger and higher, then what would you place yourself to be seen with? If you can't take the same thing, then what would you make out of yourself? And if you don't make out of yourself, then what do you show? Maybe that's where names went wrong for you. As soon as everyone had a surname, they became the judge of their own law, of their own tablet. Now this is our house. You know, this is where we sit. They're forgetting that everyone else has a surname as well. You know, it's surname that's really your first surname. It's not the actual name that you cover. You know, it's surnames we all are. Yeah. 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 Drugs, the word for judge. You'll be judged in the end. Yo, drugs are the end. So am I not showing Showing it, mate. You are, mate. Many cultures were wiped out because of such gatherings that I just spoke about. They led themselves to other foreign lands because they no longer had food or cattle in their own providence. They then made laws when they got to those lands and told them what had happened. So they became cultivated that we need to season and farm properly to have enough for the future. Yeah. Fuck you. Don't ask the Lord. Don't ask the Lord. Don't ask the Lord. The Lord Jesus Christ. Look how far the world's behind. Looking at making a bloody simulator where we're all living in. It's not even real food that we're eating. Look at making 3D printed food. Yep. Fuck yeah. So is that what the blessing is here for? To make up for the past. Show him that it's great. Otherwise, what would he be? Not great. And when my Indigenous neighbour is already meant to be living in this house, and the moment I moved in, he was meant to move in. So what spirit remains stronger? The Lord Jesus Christ or the Lord of their Lord? Hmm. Hmm. So I wonder what would happen if he took the name of Lord Jesus Christ. Then maybe we could live together. Yes, Daddy. And that's what your first post was about tonight. Yeah, that all those idols, all those false lords, all the false gods, the one that the Lord had made, for them all to be separate in their place, but given to each feet of every culture to be worshipped in the same way as the one true King or the one true Lord would be. Yeah. To find in their own feet what they need to survive. Yeah. But when they all fall, is why would they need their own to govern them if the other countries' lords weren't as strong? So from the one true Lord into many names, pronounce the Lord as certain to be placed. And indigenous culture have their feet forward of anyone who's travelled over, because their Lord would be a lesser Lord of the one true great Lord that would be ahead of all the lords. Still saying he split his name into many names to give powers to other shores greater than the other names to hold their way, to favour some in season of what the seasons had been. Yeah. Right. Now you're saying it's the end. Well, it's not that great out there. Everyone takes their own name first, or their own vein, or their own sanctuary. Look at me, the one that should be hosted, the one that should be shown to all the kings, or the ones that think they're king. Where am I at their table when I'm the sovereign saint and the lead lord? Normally the lord's invited home. Come to my place, enjoy, eat, drink, and favour us in this season, shall ye? Matt Sexton's about the only one. Yep. And my mum and dad and no, obviously, yeah. Not even my own family at Christmas time anymore. Yeah. Yep. That's because they think you're delusional and think you're some god who can tell them what it is. Alright, if I'm not that person, then who is? Could my dad tell me what it was? Could my mum tell me what it was? Could my neighbours tell me what it is? Or is my example showing what it means? You know, the whole Marty occurrence. Seated with Marty and his girlfriend, or his meant to be girlfriend, for him to take the stance and make her his woman. But instead he felt threatened by me. Yep. Instead of going, that's my girl, which is what I had shown him, which is why he felt threatened. No, he didn't feel threatened for that reason. I had made him see, hey, that's my girl. You know, because he went, Trav, what are you doing that for? So obviously I was saying, Matty, that's your girl. Because that's the way it initiated in him. But instead he felt threatened because he looked at what Trav is compared to what he might be. Yep. And if he held faith in the Father for showing him that that's his girl and kept his eyes there, then he would have made her his woman. Yep. See how, your whole life's an example or a mistake to show the revealing of you as indeed the Lord. Yeah. I know it's fucking hard to believe. The main reason is because you look at me and go, how can you be the one showing me the way? If you're here in bloody vain, you wouldn't worry about that question if you knew that I was the Lord. Like I'm the other side of the doorway. So you can lead. The same way I led myself this morning. You know, I flew a bird in when I was sitting outside on my chair. The bird got on the roof and looked down at the ground. Next second, the kids went, oh, that's Daddy. Daddy's saying do the weeding. So he started doing the weeding. Yep. But when no one is following the way, like at the big level, then obviously I purchased the right to bring my ride in. Not all those sons or athletes that died at 32. I come into the building. Yes, mate. 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 He just did it. He just did it. Yes, mate. Yes, you know it's me, mate. You know it's me, mate. You know it's me, mate. Putting on all the voices, Daddy. No, you're still there. No, you're Daddy. We're calling you Daddy. We got the phone as well, Daddy. We got the phone as well, Daddy. Yes, mate. Yes, mate. Yes, mate. You're the one having those conversations with yourself when I'm in the car with you. Yes, mate. Then to say, hey, you can't do that. But you can't convince someone to give the knives to you after telling a story about knives when he's got a set of knives in the back and then gives you the set of knives. Yeah. So the Lord must have been in he and in you. And then say, hey, you can't do that. And he thought to himself, hey, you can't take my knives. And you thought, hey, you can't take my drugs now for giving me those knives. But the Lord did that for both. Yes, mate. Yes, mate. Yes, mate. So still, you stole from the shops to say the Lord led you to steal because you needed food. Yeah, which is why drugs are the end. Now let's get high so we get the munchies. Hell good fun. You know, but really, it's not the munchies that you're getting high for. It's you should be eating food instead because the munchies are when you're malnutrition and you're dying. Your brain is shriveling up. Your brain is going hungry, 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 hungry. It's like weeds poison the garden. Yeah. Starve the grass. Starve. They shit, 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 shit. And look at my example online when I said my name was Alice Ballantyne. Alice for Lost in Wonderland, and Ballantyne for Ballantyne, where Stephen Furtick holds his church, Elevation Church in America, around the corner from Monk's Corner. You know, the city just in the next neighbourhood from Monk's Corner. Ballantyne City, I think it is, or yeah, Ballantyne University, I think is where he holds his church. I think they might have given me that name because I was watching them online and commenting a bit online. Yeah. But then all of a sudden I'm yelling and arguing with my dad. Stole money from my dad to try and go to America. Got a credit card out of my dad's name. You know, they're trying to get me over there. Yeah. Yeah. Whereas if I put Jesus Christ's name first, yeah. And goddamn, I could probably walk to the airport and still have my own surname. Yeah. And they'd bring Stephen would be online with me doing my church, wouldn't he? That's right, if he was with Jesus Christ as well. But obviously he puts his name first. I see. Yep, so the whole world's out here, mate. I don't think his name's even Jesus Christ, mate. Excuse me? What do you think his name was before I came into the building? So you changed it when you walked in. That's what I mean. So someone had to open that book one day. And I, the Lord, through the doorway, wrote the whole book. Well, and changed every copy out there. Pretty much, mate. Not making up antiviruses or yeah. Blocking your bomb. Popping your bomb. Slapping your song. Gives many people anxiety to know it's the end. What would you say? It's great out there? We're still back in my today? Or we're way away from that place? So I tip at a bar. You know, a bar on a Saturday night makes $2,000 in tips. Shouldn't they share it with everyone who's been there? Yeah, they might be working, but we're there. Yeah. It's one operation. Yeah. If we weren't there, they wouldn't get the tip jar out. If they weren't there, well, we wouldn't say, "Where's your tip jar?" Yep. Maybe we pour the drinks, though. The Christmas party should be on the boss, not on us. Unless we're invited because we're the ones there all year. Yeah, it's a sure sight example, mate. Can you get your car out of my garage? Thanks. Huh? You heard me. No. 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 Apparently I've got some olives to make up to pay back that fuel bill. Yeah. Not ready yet. Let me steal our mulberries over, mate. I will be, mate. Yum. Yum, 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 yum. Yum, 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 yum. All you children carrying on after the hours. All the side of it stands. Walk into the sun. If it is the end, walk into the sun. So what's that mean? Walk around the earth until you see the sun. Then sit the fuck down. Cross your legs and stay there until everyone's sat down. What? Yous all have plays? You can't talk to my mate. You know? Basically the Bible says, walk until the sun. So work until the sun. You won't work after the sun. You won't walk until the sun. You'll be at war until the sun. What? He'll enter into the ward Matilda's son. Waltzing Matilda. It's pretty easy to see which ones it was, wasn't it? Isn't it? Yeah, those ones there, yeah. Same ones that picked the fruit and didn't take it to the rest of the community like they always did before they rejoiced in it. Yeah. They get their big bag of drugs. Yep, that's one for me. Yep, that's my one. That's my one. You know, they don't just fucking leave it all in the one bag. They separate it into their like own Percy and stuff, you know? That's not what you fucking do. Yep. You pack the crumbs for yourself. Leave the big ones on sale. The crumbs for yourself. That's what I used to do. Crumbs for all me and my mates. If anyone wanted a sale, then I'd take the big ones. Why would you do that? Because the little ones are the same as the big stuff. It's all one bag. When you take those big ones as the best bits, then what are you making the little stuff? You know, it's not up to you to judge that. So even if the little stuff is different to the big stuff, if you put them first ahead of yourself, then you're saying what's in them is the same as in me. So I'm worthy to a big chunk, but so are they worthy to the big chunk. And I've got more than what they have, so I'll take all the little stuff. Then the Lord is saying to thee, that little stuff's the exact same as what the big stuff is. So yeah, they're right to get the big stuff, and you're right to take the big stuff, but they're not right to take the little stuff, so you're not right to take the little stuff. Therefore, when you take the little stuff yourself, he's going to make it the same as the big stuff. Or have we all forgotten what the Lord's providence means? Providing the same catering to all seasons, no matter what we wear from the past or take into our days ahead of us. Yeah. Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. So that means if we got 100 cows for 100 people last year, that means there'll be 200 cows for 200 people this year. And ain't that what they're doing with the drugs already? Yeah, I think so. We have to eat less food. That's their plan. They put supplements in the food, in the drugs, in the fruit, in the drugs, yeah. Growth hormone on the weed and shit. Oh, yeah, they do, don't they? They do, don't they? Yeah. Yeah. So I say food. Okay. Okay. Why don't they let the king worry about that shit? You know, oh, we're counting up, we're losing stock every year. We're not getting as many cows in. You know, we're getting less and less rain for the food we need. You know, we need bigger fields every year. We need bigger fields for the amount of people that are coming in. We're planning coronaviruses and all this shit to kill people off and all this sort of stuff that never really works out. We don't get the big numbers in. But the Lord's got providence there to provide. Yeah, so the universe will stop expanding once we slow that one down. Once we say the universe ain't expanding anymore, then we will no longer age. We'll all live forever. Like, there'll be no, like, birthing won't happen anymore. You know, we're saying every year, oh, we discovered 2 new galaxies forming just out to the west. In one galaxy, there's like 200 billion stars. Yep, so that's 200 billion people being birthed that year. What, they don't believe in sin? Look at you knights. Look at you knights. Open yourselves up to the Lord. And he might come through that door. He's right there knocking, you know. That's how I can see you knights are watching right now. It's like you can see through the fucking camera. It's exactly what I just said. Besides, who else sits like that? And wears a collared neck? He's great. He's great. He's great. He's great. He's great. How do you see that, mate? I just told you how he sees that, mate. Let him in. Take his name on. You'll be able to hear him and you'll be led properly. You have to give it all. Not really. You just allow him to be communicated to the world. And everyone see it for themselves when he shows it. He's already showing it to you. If you can see that he knows you're watching. So go pay his bill. Pay all his bills. He's your servant. That's what the Lord is. The Lord wouldn't come besides to serve every disaster out there. Has he not just revealed to you that he's the Lord? What, by telling me that I'm watching there at home? Yeah. Knowing you're a knight. In Royal Guard. In Royal Design. Albany duck trains. Aslanes. You got it already, son. Just sit down. Just sit down. He could say it straight, couldn't he? Of course he could, mate. I don't want all your mates out there who might be watching at home as well to know that you're a knight. Well, that was Wednesday anyway. What? 3D. Wednesday. What? The day in history that we just marked. Yeah, mate. Yeah. Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. Think I've got walking trees and bloody dragons and airs in the next one. I always age. Right. Being underwater with just fish in the kettle. Yeah. Having land mammals approach themselves. Yeah. And getting the fish out of the tub. Yep, the whales jumping, the dolphins spinning. Yep. Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. So humans with legs now get the trees walking. Yeah, well, the trees are just here for the humans. No. Like the air was just there to breathe for the whales. No. Water to digest for the fish. No. And the light was already in the water, so out of the water I made the air. Then in the air I painted the surface of the sun or the neglectful air. Just to season those who were on the ground. Like the fish underwater, everything was within their airspace. But when they got out of water, it wasn't the same. So you needed the sun linked to the trees, linked to the people, to tie it all in as connected, or as connection. Yep. Now I can have walking trees. By having a ground conscious. Right. So when the trees are actually in the ground, of their conscious activity themselves rendered by the light. Yeah, that's connected to us being in the surface. Yeah, well now the trees can be walking around because the ground becomes conscious. With Amy, my personal sidekick. Right, so they can walk on top of it and still get fed. Right. Thursday, mate. What a wild day. We can't wait, mate. Okay. See, the Knights take their town's name first. You know, Albany. And they got to lead it the way that they're meant to lead it by the governing official acts. Oh, they lead it their way. Yeah, but everyone in the town doesn't know that way. Yeah. Knight to survive, everyone else to feed. One remain hunger, one remain hungry, one remain hungry, and one to unite us in the crimes that we all take from. Then I will feed all those that need feeding. I will make out of all those that are fed the way for others to be fed, and for myself to remain not hungry, and myself to remain hungry. Hungry to feed all that's within my city or town. Right. Good day, our Lord. can see it for themselves, mate. Can't they? Yes, mate. They can. You're saying yes, Daddy, you finished the movie? Yes, Sonny. Thanks, Daddy. It's right, my son. See you guys. Bye, Daddy. Bye, Daddy, she said. See you, Daddy. Well, the audience is meant to say, see you, Daddy. See you, Daddy. See you, Dad. Thanks, mate. Thanks, my little sport. Thanks for tuning in. I think we somersaulted on that one a little bit. No, we got it expressed. We got the message out there. So you just came back on to relay the first message you done in the first sermon. Well, a few people were challenging it and saying take their name instead. No, I can't take your name when my name is my name and my name suits me better than your name does. Why? Because I can't be a giver when I'm not when I'm not rich. I'm poor. So you can still give when you're poor. Give yourself a fair trial. What makes me poor? I can be suited as the Lord. Why would I take some other name as the Lord? Because then He'd provide for you. He'd provide for you if you took the other name as the Lord. You'd survive. It's like when I took someone else's name before Jesus Christ's name. Took Travis Anthony Condos. Yeah, then all of a sudden I'm getting done.